So hello everyone, welcome to this week's YouTube video. For those of you who are new here, my name is Mike Ingledew, and I'm all about making you successful with your integrated product support strategies. Whether that's identifying the right standards or specifications, whether that's identifying the right software to support your projects, or whether it is just simply to help you develop your skills. Now, you can tell that this week we have a slightly different change of scenery. We are currently basking in a heat wave here in the UK, and my office is like a sauna. So I've decided to come up here out and about with all the midgies that I can see flying around. So if I get them off my beer, you'll see me get them off my beer. So we've come up the back end of my garden here, which is actually where I normally sit and do some of my photography on an evening when I'm not talking tech docs. So this week, what are we going to talk about? Well, I've got my iPad, I've got my Air Mac here, and or MacBook Air or whatever it's called, and a couple of different things going on around me here to have a look at what's going on. So I'm going to talk about the S1000D user forum, and the S1000D user forum was held a month or so ago over in Renton in the States, and I was lucky enough to be invited, and I did speak and I met a number of you there. But what I wanted to do was do an open and honest and frank kind of review of the event. So I've broken this down into kind of 4 areas, and excuse me for looking down at my notes, even though I'm wearing the wrong glasses, so if I've not got my Susats on. So I'm going to talk about what I liked about the event, what I disliked, or what disappointed me, not really disliked, and then what I learned, and you know, and then obviously I did some stuff in my downtime as well, and I've got some stories about that, but I'm going to save that for another YouTube video. One where a camel nearly killed me, and one where a taxi driver got very upset just because I was having a conversation with him. So anyway, so we're going to look at those, what I liked, what I disliked, what I learned, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the stuff that I did in my downtime with some of you that are probably watching this right now. So hopefully camera's good. I'm using a slightly different camera today. It's a slightly older one, so I'm hoping the quality is still as good. So first and foremost, straight off the bat, the event was excellent. Okay, it was really well organized, it was really well attended. It was both an S1000D and ATA eBusiness forum. So if you've never been to one of those before, they tend to break it into different tracks, and the one track was kind of the ATA side of stuff. Another track which I spent most of my time, that track was very much the S1000D track, so kind of supposed to be, you know, neutral presentations if you like. And then there's a product demonstration track. So I spent predominantly most of my time in the S1000D side of stuff, naturally, although I did have a lot of conversations with you, or some of you, at the conference about software, and a couple of you asked me about recommending a CSDB and that kind of stuff, and I pointed you at a couple of vendors to go and talk to. So that's kind of the breakdown of the event, and it was held over 3 days in a great hotel. I actually upgraded my room, because that's the kind of guy I am, to have a view over the lake, and so it was really nice kind of watching the sunset on an evening, and you know, seeing I think it's Renton in the distance, and is it Lake Washington? I think it was on. You guys can correct me if I'm right or if I'm wrong. So one of the first things that we did, although I've got a beer here with me today, Barry from ATA, if you don't know, is actually a little bit of a home brewer, a master brewer, and he brought some of his beers along for some of us to try out. So it was really nice of us to all kind of sit out on the harbour area, and we all had a little sampler of Barry's beers, which were very nice. Maybe not as nice as my Warsteiner here, Barry, but it was very nice, and you know, we appreciate Barry sharing that with us. So what did I like? about the event. Well, first and foremost, it was great to catch up with people again. It's the first formal S1000D event post the dreaded C word, and I think Paul was saying that there was about 300 people registered that came over the 3 days. And actually what was really good is that sometimes these events, people die off towards the last sort of middle of the last day. The event was really well attended right up until kind of the final whistle. So really pleased with that, because that meant the people that were presenting on kind of the graveyard shifts, they were able to, you know, enjoy an audience and have some participation. In fact, some of us hung around afterwards for a little while, just to have another kind of little wash up and a little conversation, little chat. So what did I like? There was I'm going to talk about this as well on some of the things that disappointed me, but there was two really good, apart from mine of course, there was two really good presentations, and I encourage you to get onto the S1000D website and go and try and have a look at those. One was from a guy called Joachim Lundqvist. If you don't know who he is, he's really active in the S1000D community. I don't know what his official role is at the moment, whether he's secretary, chairman or whatever, I don't know, but he also works for Saab, and he gave a real good presentation on how to configure a Brex rule and how to then run checks against that. And he didn't just talk it, he showed it, and which I thought was probably for me over the 3 days the biggest practitioner, or the most in-depth practitioner type presentation, which I thought was really useful. So now he did do some slides, but a lot of it was practical, so I'm not quite sure how much would be available on the s1000d.org website, but go check it out. Now for me, the presentation I really enjoyed was from Lufthansa Technik, and Lufthansa Technik talked about something that I've been banging on about for a very long time, and I'm going to do another YouTube video on this, which is are we forgetting where our data is actually going and how people actually want to use this. I think they talked about four things that from a procurer of data, from a user of data, they are having challenges and they are seeing challenges. And so I'm going to do another YouTube video on that, and but one of the ones was, you know, they talked about IP and trust and lack of trust in the market and those kind of things, which then actually drives us away from the real benefits of S1000D, or some of the benefits of S1000D. And I did have a conversation with them afterwards, and asked for permission to use their slides, and so they've given that to me, the permission. So I'm going to do another YouTube video on that. Really important. One thing that I did really like to see, and I don't want this to sound a bit freaky or kind of the younger generation. There is a clear younger generation starting to come into our domain, which is great. In fact, I won't mention names, I bumped into somebody in the lift, or the elevator as you guys call it, and he was there with his son, and his son was coming in, learning our domain, learning our market. So it looks like, now the Commonwealth Games are just finishing, is that it looks like that many of us are trying to look at handing over the baton to the next generation of those that are coming in, and I think that's exciting for a number of different reasons. One is that amenability to technology and new methods and new approaches and those kind of things, I think is going to be something that's going to be very much on the agenda over the coming years. So to see that younger generation coming in was really something that I really enjoyed. So one thing I did notice as well, and this is kind of a just an information thing, because this is the first event that we've had for a long time. I'm talking about we, like it was my event, that we as a community have had. is that there's been some mergers and acquisitions have gone on. So some software companies have been rebadged, or they've now been merged into to other organizations to have a wider offering of tools, if you like. So SDL into RWS, for example, ADG into Pennant, and GPSL were there talking about some of the acquisition stuff that they've done recently. So there are some organizations there that are consolidating product lines, but expanding in terms of bringing in or purchasing external companies, which was really good. Another thing I did like, I normally do this when I go just as a little bit of fun, so please take it as fun. I don't want to upset anyone. The best giveaway that I picked up was Dayton Brown's pen drive. In fact, I now show this when I'm on my training courses, because obviously I do a lot of training of engineers around S1000D and Tech Docs. I pull out the pen drive, and that's pretty cool, right? So I'm sure if you got in touch with Jeff, and I forget the young lady's name, I'm sorry. If you get in touch with the guys at Dayton, I'm sure that they'll be more than happy to talk to you about how you could get hold of one of these. And of course, I just need to say thank you to the guys at ATA who gave me a pen, and other presenters a pen, for supporting the event and for presenting. So that was great. And as you can hear, the wildlife is starting to become a little bit active in the woodlands around me. So let's talk about some of the stuff that I was a little bit disappointed with, and please take this as this is my opinion. I'm not trying to cause offence. I'm not trying to upset anyone. It's just what I think is that I worry that the level of presentations, one, there was a lot of commonality in some of the presentations, certainly that I went into. There was a really good presentation from IAI, Israeli Aerospace Industries. I don't know whether I've got that right. I hope I've got that right. So, which talked about their journey into adopting S1000D and some of the challenges they had and some of the things they had to go through. But outside of that, there was a real lack of practitioner level presentations, i.e. presentations that like Jock's presentation that actually showed doing something, actually making something happen. And there was the traditional CSDB discussions, the traditional business rules, and define your business rules, the stuff we've been talking about for years. I would like to see a little bit more practitioner level presentations at these events. You might disagree. That's just my opinion and my thoughts. Because for me, a few of the presentations were definitely samey. The message was pretty much the same, just had a different company logo on it. And so for me, there were some fun presentations as well that, we were talking about baby data modules and all these kind of things that made for light-hearted presentations. But I was just a little bit worried that, it was, some of them just could have been a little bit more in depth, and granted we only have 30 minutes, and that was to give questions and answers as well on that. So I understand that it is difficult. My opinion, you might disagree. So I did ask a question in my presentation about the process data module, and I think I had probably about 100 in the room, maybe a little bit more, I don't know. And I asked the question about who's using or planning to use the S1000D process data module, and out of the entire room, only one person put their hand up, young lady, next generation, who works for a fairly sizable organisation. I won't name it, and you were the only one that put your hand up to say that this is something that you're actively looking at trying to adopt and trying to implement. So that was a little bit disappointing for me, because we're creating all of this complex data and we're creating all of this wonderful structured information. We could, take it to that next stage, that next level. And this then drives into my next kind of disappointment. And the disappointment for me was there was a real lack of innovation from the vendors on display, and disappointment and surprise, because I know, because a lot of the vendors share what they're doing with me, some of the innovations that are going on. I'm just going to move because the sun's just in the wrong place. So some of the vendors are sharing with me the stuff that they are doing, and I know that it's pretty exciting stuff. But it wasn't on display at the S1000D user forum. Now, I think some of it ties into what I said about the process data module, where there's only one person in a room of 100, 120 or so that put their hand up. A lot of the vendors are demand driven. So the customers, if they want something and there's enough of the customers that have got a desire, they will do that, and they will drive on. So that was a little bit of a disappointment for me, and I was a little bit surprised that, given I know that you guys are sharing with me, that it wasn't on display and you guys weren't showing it. But anyway, that was your choice, and a little bit disappointing for me. I did notice that a number of vendors were missing, and what I mean by that is there are other software vendors that traditionally support this kind of event, and they were missing. They weren't there. I'm not going to name them, but that could be because there are a couple of other events happening here in Europe, and maybe that's where they're putting their marketing budgets this year. But they were definitely missing, and so those were kind of my disappointments, my surprises, I was a little bit, why aren't you guys showing this? Because I know that you guys have got this, so why aren't you doing that? So be interested to get your thoughts on that, and maybe it's just a lack of ideas. There's some stuff that I put on YouTube that miraculously are finding their way into vendor presentations, which maybe there's just a lack of innovative thought or thinking out there. I don't know. So I just think that that some of you could have shared a little bit about what you're doing. I won't talk about what you're doing specifically. So those were kind of the event side of stuff. It was a brilliant event. I spoke to a number of the vendors post the conference, and without fail, they all said that they thought it was the best event that they've attended of its kind. And I've been going to the S1000D stuff for since we held them in Clearwater, and we had them in Clearwater for a very, very long time. And so it was a really well attended event, and the next one is, they did announce it at the conference, is going to be held in Jacksonville in the States next year. I don't remember the dates. They did put the dates up, and I did take a picture, and I can't find it. But I'm sure if you go on the s1000d.org website, it'll be up there. As of today, I am very much planning on being there, assuming work doesn't get in the way, and some of you have already told me that you're planning on being there as well, so looking forward to that. The things that I did in my downtime is I went and had a look around the famous fish market, and I think I googled it. I think, is it When Harry Met Sally or something? That was filmed there, or Sleepless in Seattle or something along those lines. They were filmed there. Really quite interesting. In fact, it was a really blistering hot day, and I tripped in with a couple of colleagues, and we on the way back, that's where the taxi driver got his backside in a twist, because I was just trying to have a conversation with him, and I went off and had a walk around Seattle. First time I'd been there, never seen the place before. So I went and found the Jimi Hendrix statue. I believe the statue is where he signed his first record deal. And then with Steve and with Christian, we jumped in an Uber. I love Ubers now, and we actually went to the Jimi Hendrix Memorial, which was actually only a 5-10 minute cab drive away from the actual conference venue itself, and that was pretty spectacular, I have to say. That was it was on my to-do list. I went and had a look at the Hard Rock Cafe. If there's a Hard Rock Cafe in the town, I tend to go and visit it, and I get myself a little fridge magnet. Did the Boeing Museum of Flight with Christian, my good friend Christian. We spent half a day there having a little look around, and Christian knows far more about those kind of aircraft than I do, and it was great spending the day with somebody who's got a similar interest to me, and we went and had a look around, which was fantastic. I'll put some footage up. And I went and had a look at the Space Needle as well, and that was completely by accident, because I walked to the Jimi Hendrix statue, and I went to go to a photography shop. Claire always has a little panic attack when I tell her I found a photography shop, and I went along, and it just accidentally I ended up next to the Space Needle, and very busy. I was going to go up it, but one, I'm not a great lover of heights, and two, the queue was absolutely massive. So and then I walked back. Now there was something, and you guys might be able to help me. I asked a copper and or a policeman, and he was actually very rude, and maybe he didn't expect a random stranger to speak to him. As I was walking up one of the streets, there was some kind of brass maple leaves in a couple of the footpaths. And if I've got the footage, I think I might have took some footage. If I've got it, I'll put it above me. If anybody knows what they are, please let me know. The closest thing that I can think they are is in Germany. They have these brass plaques outside houses where obviously people that were sent off to concentration camps and extermination camps, etc., where they used to live, and it has their name and date of births on. That's the only thing I can think that they might be. So, but if you guys know better than I do, please do let me know. So anyway, I went to the Space Needle because my two girls are massive. I forget the TV show now that's based in Seattle. Is it Grey's Anatomy? That's it. So I went there and took some pictures and some video for them, and sent it home. So all in all, it was a brilliant event. It was great seeing so many colleagues and customers again. I know that I've got some ongoing conversations with some of you at the moment. And if you plan to be in Jacksonville, then please do come to Jacksonville. And I'm very much looking forward to being there. And to the guys at ATA, a massive congratulations on such a successful event. I'm going to sit now and enjoy my beer as the sun slowly goes down here over Darlington, and let me know what your thoughts were. If you were there, if you couldn't get there, why couldn't you get there? And maybe I'll see you at the next one, or you can make it to our event, TDW Live, which is happening in November, where we're going to be talking all things integrated product support. I'm going to be hosting an S1000D roundtable. We're going to be talking process data modules, and we've got some other exciting little things going on as well. Anyway, that's it. I'm Mike Ingledew. I've waffled enough. Hope you found that useful and interesting. I hope you don't get too upset about what I said. Get in touch with Jeff. I'm sure that he'll be happy to send you one of these, or at least in exchange for your email. And I'm making promises on their behalf, by the way. So don't get upset if they say no. But yeah, take care, and see you on the next video.